Hockey Town, how's it going? I'm Matt. Forrest couldn't be here tonight, so I'm running this one solo. First off, congratulations to the Florida Panthers, an outstanding, deserving Stanley Cup champion, a great series. 7 games went the distance. Awesome stuff. We're going to do our second mock draft tonight, talk about the Wallman trade and what might be next this week. Let's dive right into it.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Hockey Town Hangout.
Brings it in, scores! Oh, his first NHL goal is a beauty!
The sickest Detroit Red Wings podcast. It's gonna be sick.
All right, gang, we are just a few short days away from the 2024 NHL draft. Forrest, you joined us.
Hey, gang.
There he is. How you doing, buddy?
Good.
All right, so Forrest, the draft is just a few days away. We did our first mock draft about a month ago. Figured it'd be a good time to do our second one here now that we're a few days out. We'll get the draft pulled up here on the screen share so we can see our picks as they go. So we're just going to go right on down the line. Forrest, you want to alternate? You want to go on the list we talked about earlier?
Yeah, we can alternate. Whatever works. Doesn't matter to me.
Let's throw a wild card in there. Let's alternate. Let's have a little fun. I'll start out at 1 for us. Not much of a debate here. Macklin Celebrini will go to the Sharks at 1. BU connection there between Mike Greer and the prospect they're selecting. I think he'd be 50, 60 point guy right off the bat. I think that's a home run for number 1.
Really? 50, 60 points as a 20-year-old. Okay. Yeah, I don't know how anybody can be upset about that. At the top, obviously, same with them picking up a defenseman and a second-round pick today. Very interesting. Talking about the trade of Jake Wallman to the Sharks with a second-round pick. But with the second pick, Red Wing diehards was a little bit ahead of the curve on this one. A young man not too far from where we're at here in Metro Detroit, tearing up East Lansing. Mr. Artem Levshinov, right-handed defenseman. You know, those don't grow on trees. Somebody on the back end to help support Connor Bedard as he goes forward. I just think that one, it made sense to me a while back. I think if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We're going to keep him at 2.
So that brings us to our buddy Pat Verbeek and the Anaheim Ducks. Coming out with a new jersey pretty soon. Looks like a lot of orange. Don't know how I feel about that. But nonetheless, they're on the clock here. I kind of went back and forth between a couple of guys right here with Caden Lindstrom and Anton Salayev. But ultimately, I think the Ducks are going to elect to go with the big Russian defenseman Salayev here at number 3. I just think he's kind of a bit of a unicorn player. They do have a lot of prospects, young players up front. I think when you have the ability to add a player that has this type of ceiling on your back end in your top 4, I think you got to rush and take it.
Yeah, 6'7". That's dude's a monster.
Great on both sides of the puck too.
And playing with men already at a young age. It's you guys doing well.
Absolutely.
All right. At 4, we have the Blue Jackets. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take Caden Lindstrom at 4. I think if I was the Blue Jackets and I never really had a number 1 center ever in really franchise history, I think that you got to start down the middle. Obviously Adam Fantilli is a good start. But I just think that you add somebody else up the middle and that's where it starts, and top 6 depth is exactly what they're looking for, and bringing in another center.
Definitely. I like that pick for Columbus. I think that's a good fit. With the Montreal Canadiens, I think this is where the slide with Ivan Demidov ends. I think the Habs will pick Demidov here at 5. I think you saw Mitchkoff's coming over next year with the Flyers. I think Mitchkoff got away from the Habs last time. I think they're going to learn from their past mistakes and nab the potential superstar Russian forward here, solidifying the top 5.
Yeah, that'd be a good get for the Canadians at 5. You know, we saw the Russian fall last year, and he's coming over in one season, so it's impressive stuff. So we'll see what happens with Mr. Demidov. All right, 6, the newly formed Utah hockey team. We're gonna go with Sam Dickinson.
Ooh, okay.
I know that pretty sure we had a defenseman here on the first one. I'm pretty sure it was Boom, but I've been really liking Sam Dickinson the more tape that I've seen of him. Put up a lot of points in the O. I don't see anything wrong with it.
No, good pick. Definitely some good offensive upside with both Dickinson and Buium. Can't go wrong either way. Good prospects. Number 7, the Ottawa Senators. Obviously, a team no love lost between Detroit and Ottawa. Kind of hinted to this on the last mock, and I was only really being half serious. But with the way that this player has been shooting up the draft boards, I'm going to go ahead and pick him here for Ottawa. I'm going to pick Beckett Seneca at number 7 for the Ottawa Senators. Might have to scroll down the list just a tad for this one. But yeah, Beckett Seneca there at
Number 20.
number 20 there on the list. Yeah, perfect. Big kid, grew a lot, good skill, good offensive ceiling. Not sure if this is a reach or not, but just kind of trusting that the Senators are going to maybe overreach on a guy. Good prospect nonetheless. Not sure if I'd take him at 7, but he's been shooting up the charts, and Oshawa and Ottawa aren't too far away. I know he's on their radar.
I think that's a match made in heaven right there. That's seriously too perfect. I mean, you already mentioned it with the team being right there. That's just too perfect. At 8, I think this one, we've seen this one a lot in quite a few different mock drafts, but I think this is the we'll call it the bottom for Zeev Boom. I just think with him, and I'm pretty sure Denver won the NCAA championship this year, the Frozen Four. I'm pretty sure that's twice in 3 years on a good Denver squad. 2 ways. I mean, I see a lot of Quinn Hughes, obviously a little bit bigger, but a good skating defenseman that can go both ways. I think in the top 10, that's a slam dunk.
Yeah, no, good value there for Zeev at number 8. Number 9, T.J. Ginla. I'm not going to talk about it again. Everyone's already talked about it. T.J. Ginla to the Flames, following in his dad's footsteps.
And then we get to an interesting point here. I really think that this is where the draft becomes wide open. 10 would be a very likely place to get traded. We know that the Devils just added Jacob Markstrom from Calgary, so they've got their goalie now. I just think that with Berkeley Catton here at 10, I think that that's an easy decision. I'm probably running up to the podium if I'm the New Jersey Devils in this scenario.
All right, so Catton at 10, like that'd be a spot where I'm on the phone for sure, trying to get maybe a player like that. So we got number 11 here. Catton's off the board. Not doing any trades in this mock, just sticking to the script here. Trade's kind of too tricky to predict, but good area to maybe potentially trade up if you're Steve Yzerman. But number 11 here, the Sabres, they took a kind of a boomer bust prospect in Benson last year. Smaller guy, made the teams. Looks like it's working out. They hit on a second round pick, JJ Paterka, who looks like he's trending upwards. So I think maybe in this spot, Buffalo, they have a lot of defensemen. I'm not sure they go D here. Maybe just want kind of a safer pick here. I think they're going to take Consta Helenius here at number 11. High floor type of player, can play up the middle for them, maybe on the wing to start. We see that a lot. But kind of a safer pick here for the Sabres. I think it's a good fit.
I like that. Flyers are up next at 12. Last year, obviously, they picked Demidov. I think that was at 8. He's now coming over to North America.
Mitchkov.
Sorry, Mitchkov. Gosh, one of those days. Demidov is in this draft. We're going to go Zane Parikh here at 12.
All right. All right,
To be
Zach.
honest, I was going to go Helenius if he was still here. I think that, getting somebody young with Michkov to grow with, having those European background, I think it's something that could build on. But obviously, he's not there, so we're going to go with the young defenseman with the Memorial Cup winning Saginaw Spirit.
Great pick, great value there. I have heard that out of all the defensemen, he might be the one to maybe start sliding a little bit. So I think 12 is a good spot there for Zane. Good organization. 13, this is a tough spot here. There's a prospect that I like for Detroit there on the board, might be on the horn in this scenario as well. But with Minnesota, I think really at this spot here, I really like Carter Yakimchuk, the big D from the Calgary Hitmen. A lot of offensive upside. He's got a big body, pretty decent skater as well. I think he'd fit in nicely in their defensive prospect pool.
Okay, 14. We had the San Jose Sharks up first. They took center Macklin Celebrini. I mean, just looking at what we've got here, lots of wingers with some upside. Man, why not swing for the fence? You get the number 1 overall pick in the draft. You take Macklin Celebrini. Why not go ahead and bring in Cole Iserman and see if you can get 2 superstars in the same draft? I mean, you take what is definitely a struggling forward group, and you potentially walk out of here with 2 building blocks in the first 14 picks. I would be pretty excited about that if I'm in San Jose.
And once again, another BU connection there. So I think that's another good fit for sure. A couple of prospects there come off the board that you like if you're Detroit, in my opinion. If we want to scroll down that list a little bit just to look at some more players who are available, this is kind of the point in the draft where it's kind of, take your pick on what you really like. If you're somebody who wants to, kind of go for the higher offensive ceiling, probably one of those guys towards the top of the list if we want to go back up there. But Forrest, who do you
if you're looking center here, Michael Haig, you got to go down a little bit there in the rankings. I mean, really, it's you either reach for one of the lower tier centers or you pick a winger that probably is more of a point machine. I mean, me personally, I think that with what we've invested down the middle the last couple years, we have Larkin firmly in those prime years towards the end of it. I would say take a big swing on a wing here. With who we've got left, I know that Michael Branson Nygaard is definitely here. Juracek is still here. We've got Trevor Connolly. I mean, Michael Branson Nygaard is just the most mocked thing that you've ever seen, and I just think it's too safe. They have every 200-foot player underneath the sun, and none of them are needle movers. Why not get a needle mover? I would go for either Trevor Connolly with the Tri-City Storm or Michael Haig. Either or.
I'm with you on the exact same 2 prospects. So I think just for the sake of maybe a higher ceiling with offensive skill, I think we should take Trevor Connolly here. In terms of like players available at this spot and skill and offensive ceiling, a type of player that most Red Wings fans seem to be clamoring for. And who knows, this player could be on a do not draft list that the Red Wings have. I'm sure he's on some organizations' do not draft list. But with players like this and the amount of skill that's there, you better make sure you've done every ounce of due diligence you possibly can, because if there's any chance that this player can turn it around upstairs while his brain keeps developing, that hockey skill is definitely there.
And we've talked about that Wings might move around here in the first, and really it's the first time that we've really kind of heard of a team potentially moving around in the first round in a long time. I think anywhere, like especially if the draft goes like this and what we've talked about here, I think that there's a good chance that maybe they do move up somewhere in that 10 to 13 range if a guy on their board, you know, sticks out and is still around. We've seen Steve get aggressive with goalies a couple years ago with Kosa. I think that, when these guys fall hard for a player, they really fall for him and they go after and get him.
Yeah, it'll just be really interesting to see. Obviously, us or whoever else can do all the mock drafts in the world until we're watching the actual event and see what happens. There's really just no telling what shakes down and how trades. Just every organization's list is different once you get past like 2 or 3. So it's just so many different things can happen. It's definitely one of my most favorite non-hockey game events of the NHL each year to watch just because of the pure chaos of it all.
The craziness is a lot of fun. It's fun seeing different names get thrown into places and people get their be up in arms. Oh, how are we taking this person? It's a lot of fun just to mess around and see what we come up with. Fun exercise.
So in that same token, some of the activities during draft week in Hockeytown have already gotten underway. We saw earlier today a couple of trades. We saw Detroit send Andrew Gibson to the Predators for a Finnish prospect whose name I'm not going to try and pronounce because I'm going to butcher it, and a second round pick in this draft, which was actually Tampa's pick, 53rd overall, I believe. And then maybe an hour later, that pick and Jake Wallman sent to the San Jose Sharks for future considerations. What that is, we'll know in the future, but right now it's nothing. So that was a puzzling one, Forrest. What do you think of it so far?
I'm mind blown. To have to attach a second round pick to move Jake Wallman's contract. I mean, Utah is the former Arizona Coyotes. They definitely have to get up to the cap floor. I just don't understand how we couldn't have looked at any other opportunity and see. That just tells me that Hall, Sherratt, Mata, nobody's interested in them. They had to go with Wallman and they had to attach this price. And I know we were texting back and forth earlier. I think that there's something bigger going on. Either they're going after Stamkos or they're planning on Kane and Gostisbehere. I don't know what it is, but they're looking to spend more money in free agency than I think we thought, which is why they realized, hey, we got to get out some money. Simply because they know that they're going to be locking up Mo and Ray for about 16 mil, and they knew that they needed the extra money, and I just think it's that simple.
Could, obviously a money-saving, roster spot clearing move. Definitely confusing why you needed to attach that type of asset to him to clear. It's pretty reasonable contract considering his numbers and how he's used. Makes me almost wonder, is a buyout coming for Justin Hall or anybody else? Wonder if another cap clearing move is coming. Obviously, Yzerman didn't want to lose out on having a second round pick this year and acquired an extra one just to flip it. So really, you can get upset at him about trading a second round pick, but really it wasn't even ours and it was ours for 45 minutes maybe. So at the very least, it wasn't our own pick. He had to ship out to do that. So kudos to him for finding a way to get that pick to make that trade happen. Apparently it's something they needed to do. But it does make me curious if another type of buyout move is coming, because I think the buyout window opens in the next day or two. So be interesting to see there. And yeah, a lot of cap space. Yeah, you wish you had the contracts for Mo and Ray done and in place so you just knew for sure what you're working with. So you got to work around this. They're still interested in the goalie market, apparently. Dave Pagnotta tweeted that they're in on Jake Gensel. Evolving Hockey's Jake Gensel contract proc is like 7 by 9.5. That's not going to be a cheap contract if they go after Jake Gensel. So it's just a lot that could happen. And I really don't know where it's going to go next, honestly.
Man, Jake Gensel, what a name. It's brought a lot of heartache to a lot of fans over the years, but gosh, I can't think of someone that plays a better 21st century type of hockey than Jake Gensel. That guy, he got traded mid-season, just absolutely tore it up in Carolina, absolutely tearing it up in the playoffs. A small, get your nose dirty kind of guy. I think he's the exact type of person that this team needs, exact type of leader that this team needs. Either him or Marchessault. Those are the two guys I think at the top that they need to go after. Hard-nosed guys. I mean, with all free agent contracts, you're going to lose out on the back end, but you're getting these guys for their leadership throughout. I just think if they're really looking to make the move and take a next step, they've got to upgrade the top of the lineup. And how you do that is through free agency, since they haven't gotten any lottery luck.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think either of us are really concerned with any bottom six pieces or about any lack of depth defensemen. It's definitely the top part of the lineup that needs to be tweaked and adjusted the most, because that top part of the lineup, when Dylan Larkin was out, didn't do a damn thing. So that's really, I think, where we agree, that top part of the lineup. I don't know. I mean, the numbers of it all, if you assume, like you said, they take up 16 million, we're talking about Mo and Ray take up half, like it's like 33-ish in cap space. So that's like 17 million in space. If you did re-sign Kane, that'd probably be like 5.5, 6. So that takes it down to like 11. And then if you did get Gensel, I mean, 9.5 out of 11, that's most of it. So if you are in on Gensel, to me, more moves have to come. So, and in the same token, we talked about this in earlier episodes, and people have talked about it on Twitter, but like Yzerman has the runway in front of him to have like maybe the most aggressive 2-week period he's had yet. And maybe it hasn't started the way we envisioned. I mean, Jake Wallman's a player that everyone really liked, for various personal and professional reasons, and we wish him the best in San Jose. But obviously, along the path towards building a championship culture and roster, decisions like that have to be made. And I don't really think Jake Wallman, the hockey player, is that much of a needle mover in terms of chasing a Stanley Cup. I think what he provides, you can find elsewhere. So it might have been tough for a lot of fans to digest, but I think the farther we get out from it, coupled with if Yzerman does have a really nice, aggressive couple of weeks, puts everything together, does address that top part of the lineup, retools that D, maybe finds a little goalie help. I mean, there's a lot to do, but he's paving the way and he's got the cap space to do it.
In the 5 years we've had Steve guiding the team, we've gone from it being really bleak to having, 4, we'll say, solid lines. Nothing spectacular, but a bunch of solid depth, basically. Now it's really showing that gusto and taking the big swings and finding the guys at the top. We've been taking the safe 200-foot, 40 to 50 point center over the last couple years, and we've done that with safe prospects on D. They really need to open up the floodgates and find a way to add a needle mover, whether it be somebody in free agency or, via trade, whatever it might be.
So we get to Sunday, Monday, the draft is over, UFA period has started. There's chatter about Shane Gostisbehere and Patrick Kane. Talks continue with both of their agents. There seems to be interest in bringing them both back. If you had to pick one, those are your only two options of one to bring back. Which one are you bringing back, and why?
I'm probably in the minority on this one, but I'm taking Shane Gostisbehere. I just think that Patrick Kane, while yes, he did play well and he absolutely lit a spark on this team, I just don't see that going well in the future. I know for a fact he's going to want 3 years. The team that he signs with is definitely going to get him 3 years. I don't know. I just don't want that to be us. I think that Shane Gostisbehere, what he brought last season, I mean, is something we haven't seen in a long time. I think he put up over 50 points. We haven't had anybody do that since like Cronwall in the early 2010s. Not that that's an amazing. I take that back. Mo did that in his Calder season, but not a lot of people have done that. So I'm just really interested to see what they do. It's an area. It's a time of transition. There's really just a lot of ways that this can go, and it's fun to talk about the different hypotheticals. But we're just gonna have to see how the chips fall as Steve continues to juggle all these different. I mean, it's just such a quick timing. There's the draft here. There's free agency. Like the Stanley Cup just ended. I don't know why they went to the schedule to pack it in all kind of like this, but I'm sure that that Ken Holland and Barry Zito, they're gonna have an absolutely heck of a time trying to navigate this time period. Because I know I am. It's crazy.
Yeah, definitely a wild and jam-packed week. I will be just really curious to see what the team looks like in a few weeks. I think there's a number of guys who are, on the trade market that we could be interested in. Some defensemen. I think, there's guys like Zegras and Rutger McGroarty who are apparently available. Are those avenues worth exploring if you're Detroit? I found it really weird that Linus Ullmark would waive his no trade to go to Ottawa. And I also find it funny that Ottawa keeps shipping out first-round picks for rental players. That's a very telltale sign of a great, well-run organization.
Yeah, ship out a first round pick just to pay a goalie 9-10 mil next year.
And if he even re-signs there.
Well, what choice do they have? If he's if Olmark's even the smallest bit of competent, everybody in Ottawa is going to lose their mind because they haven't had any goaltending in years.
Well, I think after watching his brother lift the Stanley Cup last night, I think Brady Tkachuk is going to be telling the Ottawa Senators, figure it out or I'm out of here next. So just, again, and you talk about that too, like everyone is so quick to talk about Detroit as, are they a regression candidate? Are they a regression candidate? I mean, look at the whole East. Everyone just assumes New Jersey is going to be back to 105 points or whatever they were. I don't like the coach they hired, and I don't know if I really trust Markstrom to be that guy who pushes them over the top. Or the Carolina Hurricanes, they're losing Gensel, they're losing Pesci. I don't trust their goaltending. They have a rookie GM. I don't know. Are they a regression candidate?
Maybe
New York,
Brady Shea, and do they have the goaltending?
yeah, I mean, the New York Rangers, are they going to go as far as they did? Are they going to be able to bring everyone back? What's their team going to look like? How about the Islanders? Are they going to be able to find a way to not have so many overtime losses? The Capitals with Pierre-Luc Dubois. I mean, like there's so many moving pieces around. And Detroit, maybe some people do pick Detroit as a regression candidate, but regardless of what happened today, let's give them another week or two and let's see what, type of puzzle pieces we're working with once we get to, maybe post 4th of July here in America.
Yeah, it's wild and exciting times here. There's going to be a lot of significant changes here, and obviously we'll keep everybody close as we continue to navigate these changes together here.
I'm going to need one free agency bold prediction from you.
All right, free agency bold prediction. Really put me on the spot here. I'm going to say Jake Gensel on a 4-year, $10 million contract.
4 by 10. Wow. I would be okay with that. I think I would.
I mean, paying top dollar. We just talked about how we don't have the high end talent. Jake Gensel checks that box that you need. So I'm willing to pay it.
Shorter term but higher dollars, maybe it entices the player to take it.
That's probably the only way he's going to take that. That's why I was like, maybe we go a little shorter in term. And
what if he says no to 4 by 10, but if he says I'll say yes to 4 by 11.25?
I'm probably not doing that.
No.
I'm probably not doing 11.25. 20% of the salary, 20% of the salary cap's like 15, 16 million. Yeah, I'm probably not doing 11.5 for Gensel.
I think I could go a couple of ways here. I'll play it a little safe, but this is still kind of bold. I'll predict Jonathan Marchessault to the Red Wings on like a 3 by 7.5 deal.
I like it. I mean, short. I just think that contract overall, I would rather go 3 for 7 with Marchessault than I would rather go like 3 for 5.5 with Kane.
It's a fair point. It's a fair
I
point.
I just think like both are going to regress. Both are in their mid to late 30s, no doubt. I just think that from a leadership perspective on the ice and what this team needs to move forwards, I think they need somebody that's going to get into the dirty areas and be that person to get the puck out to our star players.
Definitely a lot of holes to fill, but I think all of the things that we're concerned about, he's paving the way to fix. Really, the only like mega critique I have, and this is just for me, but like I don't understand how the Mo and Ray contracts aren't in place yet. Like you've had months to talk about it. I get that, there's agents and other factors that involve in it, but it's just kind of mind boggling to me that if for me, that would try and be a non-negotiable to have that in place before you got to this point. But I'm sure they've had conversations. I'm sure they know the dollars rough ballpark, and it won't be like that big of a deal. I just think it creates maybe a little more of a headache along the way. Makes your job maybe just a smidge more difficult.
I think Steve's trying to pinch every penny out of them.
Probably.
That's really what I think it is. I feel like he's just an absolutely challenging negotiator. Because I mean, we saw the stuff with him and Bertuzzi, the arbitration stuff,
Yeah.
like being, I think it was like $100,000 off, and both sides digging in. Ultimately, what left it? He's stingy with these, when he can be. It's funny.
For sure. So we will let the next few days unfold, and we will come back and recap the draft, maybe some more signs, maybe some more trades. Nonetheless, it's going to be a busy week, 2 weeks for the Detroit Red Wings. Forrest, any closing remarks?
Another fun time of year, gang. Enjoy it because obviously it's summer break after this and big break until October rolls around. So everybody have a good, safe summer, and we'll definitely keep you guys in the loop with what we're planning to do here over the next couple months.
Let's go, Red Wings. Don't pick Michael Bransick-Nygaard at 15. Don't do it.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Hockey Town Hangout on YouTube, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.